Hey everyone, welcome to Be Authentic or Get the Fuck Out. I'm your host, Eric Oberemt. This is the podcast where the only requirement to be a guest is that you are being authentic to who you are. If you're not, I'll shut it down and I'll ask you to leave. Remember, be authentic or get the fuck out. All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Be Authentic or Get the Fuck Out. I'm your host, Eric Oberemt. Today, we are hanging out in Grand Cayman. We are on day, well, I'm not going to say what day. Let's pretend we're done with quarantine.
That's a good idea.
Let's just pretend like we're done with quarantine.
Great idea.
But I've got a guest today. I think this is going to be a really fun show. My guest is George Evans. Hi, George.
Hello, Eric.
Glad you're here, man.
Oh, couldn't be happy to be here.
Yeah, this is going to be a fun show. So I made a few notes so I wouldn't forget what we're going to talk about. But today's kind of a unique deal. So we came down for 36 days of vacation. And the first 14 days that we are here, we are having to be quarantined in this house.
And it's all my fault.
And it is all his fault.
100% my fault.
And we will get to that. We will get to that in a moment of why everything is your fault.
Yeah, I fucked it up.
The whole goddamn thing. Yeah. But we're down here for the first 14 days in quarantine, and then we're staying down for another 21-ish, and going to go have some fun with the family and everything. So we're actually down here, though, because, again, you fucked everything up.
I didn't listen to other people.
You didn't listen to me. But what was it? It was about 2.5 years ago?
Yep.
3 years ago?
Probably now with COVID.
Yeah. So time's all fucked up. It's all pre-COVID and post-COVID and whatever. But so I started coming down here about 5 or 6 years ago and started diving on the west side of the island, and kind of got bored diving over there. And Alice. So actually, we've decided that actually all of this is Alice's fault.
Yeah, and I think, didn't you say to her, like, who's the best dive guru on the island? And she said, you've got to go east to see Mr. George.
Yes.
I think that's how it goes.
It was similar to that.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it was similar. It actually went, I want to go somewhere else, maybe a little Cayman, and she said, why don't you go east first?
Oh.
But
I like my story better.
But then she said, if you're going to go east, you got to dive with Mr. George.
Yep.
Yeah. So we came up, got introduced to Mr. George. That's what everybody calls him, Mr. George. Does Pate call you Mr. George?
I think actually you guys started the Mr. George thing. Maybe even Natalie is like, this is Mr. George.
Probably Natalie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because somebody started that shit with like Mr. Pate.
Because I'm Mr. George, I'm Eagle Ray G. You know what I mean? I got lots of them.
I won't call you that.
I know what you call me.
Yeah, I call you a lot of things.
Yeah.
So anyway, we started coming up here, spending time staying up on this side of the island because it was just a lot more relaxed and calm, and not all the people, because we all know I don't really care for large groups of people.
All people.
In general.
Yeah.
So we all kind of became friends. You have a daughter, Sophia, that is about the same age as Tegan, and they hit it off, and so they became friends. So then you were kind of obligated at that point to talk to us more. Didn't probably really want to, but decided, well, the kids want to play together, so we'll go ahead and give her a fucking go, right? And then, so we probably knew each other for maybe a year or so, and then we bought a Christmas gift, basically, for Melissa and Addie to come down and spend a week down here for a Christmas gift. And we were staying, and this is how I remember the story. We were at one of the houses up north, and we were all sitting out on the back deck, and there was a few of us out on the back deck, and then we all looked around and went, where's George? I don't know. Where's Melissa? I don't know. Ah, fuck. And that was it. You weren't there for that part.
Oh.
But you were off.
Oh.
On a walkabout.
Oh.
That's what I'm going to call it.
Back on one of those.
Yeah, you were back on a walkabout. So that was kind of how everybody ended up down here.
And the accent, probably.
And the accent. I mean, that's...
Not for you, but...
No, not so much for me.
for the ladies.
Because I still can't understand half of the shit that you say.
Oh, either can she.
Neither can she.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
And yet she's still here.
She is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you must just be an amazing man.
I think I am.
So what I wanted to get into on this, we've done a few different kind of podcasts, and we had Pate on. First part of Pate's was literally just us bullshitting for 30 minutes and whatever, and I have a feeling that's part of what this will turn into as well, which is totally fucking fine. But I like to have a little bit of intention on these as well. I'm also going to start a timer, everybody, so that I know where we're at on time. Honestly, so the battery doesn't run out, because Lexi's not here to tell me when the battery is going to run out on the camera. But I like people to get a little bit of something out of each podcast, whether it's like a business lesson, a life lesson, something that they can take away from this. So I want to get into a little bit about how you got here, where you came from, and then we'll kind of go into business stuff, like how you transition or whatever. So if you want to tell people kind of where you're from and what landed you here, I think that's kind of an interesting story.
Yeah, okay, so I'm from Australia, and I remember when I was about 16, going to school, and Dad said to me, what do you want to do when you grow up, you finish school? I'm like, I'm going to be a realtor like Mum. And he said, you can do that anytime. He said, you got to do a trade first, and then you can do what the fuck you want.
Right.
So pretty much knowing that, the last 2 years of schools was fun. Didn't worry about the studies.
Right.
And then as soon as I finished my plumbing and gas fitting apprenticeship, flew straight to London like a lot of Australians do, go and live in the UK. And then it's a good spot from there to travel, because everything's so close. Whereas when you're in Australia, everything's so fucking far away.
Right.
Did 2 years there, and then I went to visit a friend in Jordan, in the Middle East, Australian friend from home. He was working as the water sport guru for the King of Jordan.
Yeah.
And he said to me, listen, you want to come down here when I leave, just let me know. So I hung out in London. I was getting sick of plumbing, and he's like, well, go finish your diving off, become a dive instructor, and then when I'm ready to go, you can take my job.
How the fuck did he get that job?
Through another Australian couple from
that had it before
hometown.
him?
They had it before him, because you can't put it on the on LinkedIn and say, we're looking for a job.
King of Jordan looking for a pal.
And typically they used to like Australians working there, because we were a little bit more relaxed with, if you've got some kids or adults that really want to do whatever they want to do,
right,
all you're really got to be there is just make sure they're doing that in as safe manner as they can, without trying to be
right,
to show your authority,
right,
because you don't exist.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. So then you started working for the King.
Yep. Hung out there for 4 years, and then got an offer to come back here and start up a dive shop.
So and then you had your daughter while you're living in Jordan.
Yep.
And then you say come back here. So you were already here.
Yeah.
We missed a part, Mr.
We did
George.
miss a part.
Yeah.
All right. So the guy in Jordan was sailing across the Atlantic.
Yeah, that's
on
the
his
story I
yacht.
wanted to hear. Yep.
And he'd worked in Grand Cayman before. That's right. So then I came here as a dive instructor. I had some friends from school that were accountants here, so I just kind of come and hung out with them, and then picked where I wanted to live on the island and work, and I chose East End in Grand Cayman. Then went to Jordan.
And you were here for how long?
5 years.
Oh, 5 years.
Yeah, dive instructor.
Okay.
And then became a kiteboard instructor here.
Okay.
And then went to Jordan.
And that's something I still haven't learned, is how to kiteboard.
Yeah.
I feel like I can't.
You can, just I won't be the one teaching you.
Would that not go well?
Oh, I'll teach Natalie.
You think she'd be easier than me?
Girls are always better on the first couple of lessons.
Oh.
Because they listen.
Oh.
Yeah. Guys get in there and they think, to kiteboard you've got to be super strong.
Right.
But you can literally, hold the bar with 2 fingers. I used to say doing the Jane Fonda, left and right. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
just like that.
I feel like I'd get angry very easily.
You get angry and you drown a lot.
I drowned a lot.
Yeah, because you're getting towed by this thing through the water. You're getting water up your nose and your ears, everywhere.
God, that sounds like a hoot.
Yeah.
Yeah, fuck, let's go do that.
Yep.
All right, so you're a kiteboard instructor,
yep,
dive instructor,
yep,
and then you went back to Jordan.
Yep. Worked there for 4 years.
Got it. Worked for the King.
Yep. Amazing job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't you have a good King story? Wasn't there the one good king story where he fucked with you? Was that you?
No, that was the Canadian comedian.
Oh, that wasn't you.
No.
Oh, you just told the story because you knew him. Okay, that's what it was.
Yeah,
okay.
He left the party. He left the house early, and then the king got him held up at the airport with Uzis and things.
All right, that wasn't you. You don't have any good stories like that one. Oh, okay.
No.
All right. So you came back here after living in Jordan.
Yeah.
Good diving in Jordan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jordan's only got 10 miles of coastline.
Oh.
So it's very limited.
Oh.
Egypt, in the Gulf of Aqaba, you've got Egypt, Israel, Jordan, and Saudi Arabia all within, looking distance to each other.
Oh.
So further away in Egypt, the diving probably gets better.
Yeah.
Just because you've got more space and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And you imagine this is the only piece of beach for all 8 million people that live in.
Oh shit.
Yeah. So you imagine
it's just packed.
Holiday times and things like vacation times, people just to the beach.
Oh man.
Yep.
Okay. All right. So you came back here.
Yep.
And why'd you come back here?
Some people here asked me to come back and set up a dive shop for them. They had a water sport business that didn't do diving. So did that for a little while, and then broke away from them and started my own water sport business.
I remember that.
Yep.
I remember that time.
Yeah.
I feel like there's a lot of stories that we have that we can't tell. Yeah, that I'd really like to tell. I mean, they probably wouldn't watch.
No.
But they might.
They might.
All right.
We won't talk about
keep
that.
those stories.
We'll
okay. All right. So you started up Silver Thatch.
Yep.
Okay. And how did that come about?
I left the other company, and at that time I needed another source of income, and a gentleman was starting up who pretty much was like a booking.com for all the big houses on the island, and he bought his own boat and wanted people, someone to drive that to take his guests to see Stingray City and snorkeling and stuff. So
non-diving.
So I went and jumped on that and left my staff to run the diving part of things, and then a couple of years later our friend Mr. COVID came around and just fucked that all up.
Yes, he did. So COVID fucked that up.
It did.
How so?
So things were really starting to get moving. We were running 3 boats. Things were busy. And then I remember one day these people were kind of talking about this COVID thing, and literally like the government here like, hey, after tomorrow, no water sport activities, no nothing. Everyone's kind of going into this lockdown. We had a bunch of guests here, and 2 of them in particular. One guy, he made I guess new spines and hips and things like that. He was out of Texas, and he had a family of 4 here, and it was like the trip of a lifetime for him. And so he thought, well, the hospitals are closed, I may as well stay here. And stayed, in for a month, and he's like, when can we go diving again? Every few days. Yeah. And they stayed, I think, 2 months before they were like, hey, you
gotta go.
Gotta go.
Well, I remember that because we were here.
Yeah.
When all that shit happened. Because we were here in March of 2020.
Yep.
It was the last time we were here until now.
Yep.
And we went home like middle of March.
Yep.
I think it was like 2nd or 3rd week of March.
Yep.
And we kind of didn't really know what was going on down here. Like we were all watching the news, but we were like, oh, whatever.
Yeah.
It wasn't real. It was kind of a joke and whatever. And then we landed. And the story I always tell is that we landed in Charlotte or wherever we went through, and we're going through customs, and I was like, went up to the customs agent, and I'm like, where the fuck is everybody? Like, everybody's gone. And he's like, yeah, we shut off the border to Europe and blah 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 and whatever. And I'm like, oh my god. I was like, for the flu?
And I said, no,
like,
no for you, Mr. Eric.
I was like, holy shit. So like, we literally got home right when all of that happened. It was crazy.
People were taking private flights. Like this guy was like, hey, like I'm from Texas, do you think I could charter someone's boat here, worst case scenario, to drive us home?
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Oh shit.
Family of 6.
That would have been a trip.
It would have been a trip.
How long would that take?
I think it's 1,000 miles.
Okay.
So if probably 10 days.
Wow.
Something like that.
Wow.
Yeah.
That was a crazy time because we all thought it wouldn't last that long. and you had this guy and like a few others that were like still here, and you're like, fuck, I'm just going to keep going. Like, this is great.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then all of a sudden,
yeah,
it was off.
It was off.
Yeah, that was a shit show.
And it was off we were locked down for 2 or 3 months, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And our lockdown was kind of crazy, but yours was like really crazy.
They're like, we're going to lock it down until there's nothing left.
Right.
We've got no cases. And then when we have no cases, we're in this bubble.
Right.
We'll go back to normal. And we did go back to normal, but without tourists. You know what I mean? We're a year. No masks, no hand sanitizing, none of that stuff.
Yeah.
So I had to kind of think quick. So I remember selling one of the boats and took a realtor out, and she bought it, and I said, hey, I've just started this construction business.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, I need a couple of condos in 7 Mile Beach painted. So that's how it kind of started, and then 2 years later, I got 8 guys working for me. Right. Doing huge.
I mean, it's going really well.
It's going well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, but now a little bit of tourism's coming back.
Yep.
A little bit.
So we had a couple of charters last week.
Yeah.
And that's what I tried to do. I tried to keep a lot of boat captains still on just as general labourers and things like that. But then, just like me, the people that were boat captains were plumbers or they were carpenters, and they hadn't done it for a few years, and then all of a sudden they're like, all right, tool belt back on.
Right. But they were able to pick up where they left off.
Yeah, we've got to feed the family.
Right.
Yep.
But yeah, so we're definitely getting in the water in a couple of days.
Yep.
Not you, probably.
Well, I might come out of retirement.
You might come out of retirement?
Yeah, just for you.
I'm curious if George still knows how to drive a boat.
Yeah.
But we're going to find out. We're going to find out pretty soon.
I did it the other day. Remember I just teased you and sent you photos?
Oh, that's right. Yeah. That was exciting. But so hopefully Big Kev's going to take us out on Wednesday.
Yep.
And then hopefully the following week, I mean, I've been locked down here for 14 days, so we're going to do a lot of fucking stuff now.
Well, that's my thing. The last time we left the island was February before COVID came, and we came and saw you guys in Nebraska.
Oh, that's right.
So I haven't had a break since then. So that was my kind of thing. Like once you guys, now that you guys are out of quarantine, I'll take 2 or 3 weeks off work and just,
because we are out of quarantine.
Yeah. And just hang out with you.
We're out of quarantine. Mm-hmm. Okay. I like that. That's a good idea.
Yeah.
And then Tegan can stop yelling about
where's Addie?
Yeah, where's Addie?
Where's Sophia?
So okay. Something during when all the COVID shit hit, and you had to transform kind of your life and your business from, tourism, that mindset, and how long of a span of, because I know what my answer is to this, but how long of a span of kind of freaking the fuck out did you have? Of like, what the fuck are we going to do?
Well, I was lucky in the way that the gentleman that we run the boat for, he continued to pay all of his stuff.
Right.
And for a year.
Right.
And then until, I got started in the construction stuff, then he even went to half pay.
So you had that as a float.
Yeah. And I guess stuck at home not doing anything, we didn't need that much.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
The girls were homeschooling.
So that was fortunate. So you kind of had a buffer to be able to get you through it.
Yeah.
But all the while still thinking, tourism will be back in a couple months.
Yeah, we thought September.
Right. And they just kept moving the goalposts.
Yep.
Like the rest of the world did.
Yeah.
Are you excited for it to come back?
Yeah. 2 reasons. I think a lot of people that own houses and condos and stuff here haven't been back. Mm-hmm. So when they get back, they're going to be like, hey, our house or condo needs painting, or we want to do this, we want to do that. And as far as, I think we might, before, I could never say no to anybody wanting to go diving, so I always made like an extra trip or something like that. And I think this time what we're going to try and do is just stay smaller. We do a lot of private charters for our diving and our other trips anyway, and we'll try and maybe just stay smaller.
I mean, that's what we talked about before. I mean, I think that's the play. You stay exclusive, and you only do private charters, and you're the most expensive prick on the island, and because you're giving them a fucking 10-star experience, not a 4 or even a 5. I mean, you're creating Raving Fans. And have you ever read that book, Raving Fans?
Maybe I should.
You should. So, people watching, listening, if you haven't read the book Raving Fans, it's a game changer. So we actually read it every year in my company. Even if you've been here for 20 years, I don't care. You reread it every single year. It only takes 2 hours to read the whole book. But it literally gives you a blueprint on how to create raving fans in your company and your clients. And then you can use the same thing to like create raving fans like in your family for your business. You know what I mean? So like they're 100% behind you and everything. But we started implementing it, and so then every year we're all reading it right now. And then when we go on our company trip at the end of January, I'm taking everybody to Mexico, and we're going to take the time while we're in Mexico to talk about what new steps are we going to integrate into the business to create raving fans, so that why wouldn't people pay a little bit more? Right? Because they want to have an experience. They want to have that experience that makes them walk away going, I'm going to tell everyone about Mr. George in silver thatch diving, right? I still think that that's 100% the way that you go. Like, you create that boutique. We only do charters. We don't take one-offs. And if you are a one-off, you're chartering the whole fucking boat. But we're going to make it an awesome day for you. We'll go grab lunch. We'll do this. We'll do that. Like, that's the game, right? Because I mean, people coming down here generally have money anyway, so make them spend it.
One of my old bosses always said, like, the typical American tourists that come down, they might get 2 weeks vacation a year. So we want to show them we want to take all their money, and we want to show them the best time. So, you know what I mean? It's like, I was talking to you about the other day, it's like, people in the dive industry are very, sometimes a bit, I guess, anal, as in they expect divers to be the best. And it's in every single sport, people aren't the best or whatever, right? You haven't dove for a year, maybe you're going to leave, you know, your fin unstrapped, or you forgot to defog your mask or something, and it's my job just to make sure that I see that and I fix it up, just so you have the best time possible. If I see you going a little bit deeper, I might just nicely go up to you and say, hey, you just need to put a little bit more air into your BCD. Not like, you know what I mean, do these crazy hang signals and swear at people and chew them out. And then they're not going to tip you. All right, you're only shooting yourself in the foot.
But that's not to say that there's not some absolutely asshole prick clients that people get. And I think that's why I couldn't do what you do on that level. Like, I've heard stories, maybe you don't get as many out here, but like, I'd hear stories from Alice at Deep Blue, and she'd have the pricks. You know, it was always somebody from the East Coast. So sorry if you're from the East Coast, but it always seemed to be somebody from the East Coast that would, like, you know, be coming to get up off the boat, and they'd lay on their back and stick their fucking feet up in the air and be like, take off my fin. And she's like, you can go fuck yourself. And I was like, wow.
Well, see, I wouldn't. I just take their fins off. And they, was that a great dive? You know, get back on. Can I get you?
You are a better man than me.
Because that's your job.
I get it.
It's like the bellboy. You know what I mean? Greet and smile and grab the bag and take it up to the room. You know what I mean? That's what people want you to do.
But again, that's why you've been successful. Right? And that's why people talk about, you know what I mean? If people come up to this side of the island, you're who they want to dive with. Like,
and that's what I said to you the other day. And the guy in Jordan, he had a dive shop in Australia, and he always told me, like, when your staff are on the boat, they're not talking to each other. You tell them, hey, we've got 8 people on the boat. By the end of the day, I want you to go and talk to each one of them and find out 3 facts about them. And that's what I do. Like, so, tell me about that person. You know what I mean? And because the people coming down here from the US, they might have never met anyone from another country. And they're like, got an Australian guy, they got an English guy, they've got a guy from Kenya or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, wow. Like, and then they talk about coming to safaris or going to see Ayers Rock in Australia or diving the Great Barrier Reef.
I think that's one of the most important things about traveling that people don't sometimes understand, right? Tegan gets, I mean, she's been traveling and coming here since she was 18 months old. She's 6 now, 6 and a half. And she's gotten more exposure to different cultures because she's been coming here and to Mexico and places like that, where she learns that everything doesn't exist in the little bubble of Valley, Nebraska. right?
Yeah.
With the 98% white people that she's around,
yeah.
and no one has a different accent, nobody has a different background, nobody's got a different culture, whatever.
Yeah.
And she gets to go to these places and learn, right? Like, she didn't understand, like last night, Natalie got the Aussie burger from Tucka and got the little fucking flag.
Yeah.
And Tegan was all excited because she got to keep the little flag, and she's like, why is this flag different? You know what I mean? And you get to have that conversation and be like, well, Mr. George is from this place. And I think that that's something that people lose sight of too, is that you get so much of an education by traveling and meeting different people and getting to have that. And if people used your advice in their businesses, right, of telling sales guys or whatever, right? Like when you go meet somebody, when you come back, tell me 3 things that you learned about that person.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's different, but it translates exactly the same way, right? Every time you go meet a new client or a possible new client, don't come back and talk to me unless you have 3 new things that you learned about that person that you wrote down that we can put into our reference book, right? Because then what are you going to do? Because if there's somebody that you could get $250,000 or $1 million, contract off of in roofing business, right? What if you find out that they're a Jets fan, right? Like, not that anybody should ever be a Jets fan, but if you are, let's find some Jets memorabilia, and then randomly send that guy a signed football by Mark Sanchez. I don't know, like, who the fuck plays for the Jets? Nobody cares. But you do that, and they're gonna look at you and be like, wow, he really listened to when I was talking. Like, that's the kind of person I want to work with. You know what I mean? And then what did you do? You created a raving fan. And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to create raving fans. So, no, I think that what you're doing down here is amazing. And I know, we were coming down so much. We came down, we were buying land, we were selling land, we were going to put up apartments, we were going to do this. That was kind of when the construction idea started, right? Was I bought some land and we were going to put some buildings up on it. I went and got my license. You went and got your license so you could help build them so that we could save money and do them together and make more profit. And then it just worked out that you had it. When COVID hit, and you're like, well, shit, let's use that and go make money. I completely forgot where I was going with that. But it's just funny how businesses, they change, but you can use all the same principles, from them.
And I kind of say that as a dive instructor. It's like when I went to teach kiteboarding, I could teach after maybe 2 weeks of learning how someone teaching me how to teach kiteboarding, because it was the same kind of steps. It's like, it's teaching, you know what I mean? It's just something different that you're teaching. You know what I mean? Step by step. Okay, you get to this bit. That's day 1. Day 2, we're going to get to here. Day 3, we're going to get to here.
And that's that book that you picked up, that yellow book. That literally is about training people. It's about training animals. But then how using that same training technique that they use to train the dolphins at SeaWorld and shit translates to training people. Whether that's your wife or your kid or whatever, but to get to train them to kind of do what you want them to do. You know what I mean? Like, without them knowing that you're training them to do what you want them to do.
Why is it be happy about that, training them?
Yeah, that's fine. They think they're training us anyway. They just don't know. But it goes back to that, doing, like step 1. But you better be ready in case they go from A to B really fast. You better have C ready. Right? And you got to understand where to finish. Like, you got to finish on a high point when you're training. Don't ever finish on a low point, because then they're not going to want to come back. Like, it's a mental thing, and blah, blah, blah. So anyway, okay, we're getting into the weeds. Starting to wrap up, though. Let's finish up. And the reason that we're down here is your wedding. And so that is happening on Saturday. And we're going to be related.
I know.
That's fucked up. Poor guy. Do you want to take my last name?
I can. Or hyphenated.
I like that. And so the real fun thing is that, so you're getting married on Saturday. And I'm getting to officiate it.
You are.
And, I didn't think about this, but we need to bring the camera. We're going to record that, even though your photographer might get pissed off, but
it's all right.
Fuck him. Because we'll need to have some B-roll of that. for the podcast.
Yeah.
That'll be really good.
To make it official.
Yeah. And for the record, George said that I can say whatever I want.
Yep.
He said keep it short.
Yep.
I'm allowed to curse.
Of course.
I'm trying to find like a Pope hat.
Yeah.
Just to offend somebody there. Will there be anybody there that's like overly religious?
Don't think so.
Let's figure out if there is. Later. We don't have to do it now.
Okay.
But if there's somebody there that's going to be like overly religious, that'll be fun for me because because I'm going to offend them somehow. And so I just want you to be prepared for the fallout.
Well, you could just walk in a New Zealand rugby top.
I don't know what that means.
Well, all the Australians are there. Then you'll offend some people.
Ooh.
You're just like wearing a Canadian jersey, you know what I mean? To a Chiefs game.
It wouldn't be the same at all.
No?
No, nobody give a fuck. It's really funny when you talk to people from other countries because like they think countries care about countries and like all we care about is the Chiefs playing the Raiders.
Yeah.
So
well, you guys have the World Series that only the US plays in, so you guys kind of have that wrapped up.
But you're world champion.
Yeah, of your own
world.
But you don't let
Well, you can come play in the United States.
Can you?
Yeah.
Who comes and plays?
Everyone in the world plays in the Major League Baseball.
You let Cuba come?
Yes.
Oh, do you?
There's all kinds of Cubans that play for teams.
Oh.
But not the team of Cuba.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
But Cubans can come play.
Yeah.
I mean, shit, I bet.
You don't say, let's let Australia come or let's let Nicaragua come and play.
Nah. No.
No, that'd be the World Series then, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would, but like you guys wouldn't be able to compete with them anyway. In baseball?
I don't know.
Nah.
You said how many Cubans are playing in teams. If you had a full Cuban team,
they'd be hard to beat.
Yeah. It's like ice hockey, right?
Yes.
Doesn't like all the ice hockey teams? Don't they all come from Scandinavia and Russia and places like that?
A lot of the players.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of the players do probably. I don't know much about hockey.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not a hockey guy.
It's a Canadian thing.
Yeah, it's a Canadian thing. Nobody likes stinking Canadians.
No.
They're just too fucking nice.
Yeah.
They say sorry a lot.
Yeah.
You notice that?
Yeah, bud.
Yeah. Do they say bud?
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
All right. So anyway, this wasn't a very controversial podcast, which is fine. But I think my point, what I really wanted to get out to anybody listening here, is the biggest reason that I wanted to bring you on. Is just because of our history. I think we have a cool story. I think you have a really cool story. I wanted people to hear about things that are happening outside of their little world and their little realm, you know, and their bubble, and you know what it looked like for COVID in other parts of the world. Like we're very in the U.S. We're very what's the word? Combative. Is one, right?
That's a big word.
Yeah, thank you. But there's a section of us that are combative, and there's a section of us that are fucking sheep that just follow whatever the government says, right?
You're not one of those.
I'm not one of those people. No, I'm not. Those people really irritate the fuck out of me. So sorry if that's. I'm actually not sorry. I'm sorry for you.
Well, they're probably not watching.
They might be. You never know. I feel sorry for you if you're one of those people. But it's interesting. I think that it's interesting to hear perspectives from different areas, different cultures, and the way that people live there. Like, we all still live our lives, but we all live them a little bit differently.
And I think that's one thing that, like, someone once told me, I think in Canada, is like, you have to remember, like, each their own. Like, some guy in Nebraska, he might never want to come here because on the weekend he goes hunting.
Right.
You know what I mean? All year. And that's his thing.
Yeah.
He doesn't need to leave.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Why would I go to Grand Cayman? There's sand there.
Right.
Nothing to shoot.
And nothing to shoot.
Yeah.
Can't have guns here anyway.
Can't have guns.
Nah.
So why would I want to go there?
No.
Yeah.
Only people who have guns here are criminals.
Yep.
Where do they come from? Jamaica, the guns?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how our COVID spike came back, they thought.
Fucking Jamaicans.
Drug running boat.
Drug running boat. Oh, that's right.
Well, that's what they're trying to blame anyway.
I mean, I think it works.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, all right. Well, is there anything that we haven't talked about that you kind of wanted to, or you'd like to leave the audience with?
I think just generally, like I said, each to their own. When people are diving or whatever you're doing, or you're doing a job at someone's house, it's like going that extra mile. Do you know what I mean? And it's simple things like you said, like sending someone a football, or just knowing like the other day I paid a lot of money for a client to have a custom-made vanity. For a lawyer client, the vanity turns up, and I just looked at it and I said to the guy, you may as well not even get that off your truck. You know, the paint job was bad. I could get something better at Lowe's or Home Depot. If I paid 3 times the money, I want this thing to be schmeck. So going the extra mile and making sure you do, you know, the job looks perfect. Like for you guys too, roofing, right? Remember, you always say that you don't want a speck of shingle left in someone's garden. Because you don't want anything to come back. You only want them to say good things about you.
Yeah, that's what I always say. I'm like, I haven't met many homeowners that actually give a shit about what the roof looks like.
No.
They care about what the ground looks like. That's their experience. Their experience is the ground. Their experience is not the roof.
And we have it like we go in, like I say, we're doing something and we'll cover everything in plastic. Or we'll put ram board, like the cardboard over kitchen counters. And I always say to my guys, whatever you do, don't put tools on counters. You know, that counter's worth 10 grand. If you break it, we're fucked. You know what I mean? Who's going to pay? You're not going to pay.
You ain't
I have to pay it.
You break it, you buy it, my friend.
So, and people are like, oh, I watched, you know, Mr. George come in and he covered our whole house in plastic and cardboard on the floor. We're going to get those guys to come back next time. And recommend you to other people.
So go above and beyond. Create raving fans. It doesn't matter what industry you're in. And again, that was part of my purpose of this podcast in the beginning, was that it wasn't going to be all about the roofing industry or talking to public adjusters or first-party litigation attorneys or whatever. It translates throughout all industries and all businesses. But yet.
Yeah, because you would like me to come and sell roofs for you. I'd probably have to maybe have a translator. Maybe Melissa we'd have to be a team.
Yeah, but people just fucking nod at you and say yes because they don't want to look ignorant, that they can't understand you. Which is why I think like you could get people to just sign, because they're like, oh yeah, he just asked me to sign.
That's what I said, Melissa, will you marry me? And she went, what?
Yeah, sure, whatever. Yeah, and it worked out. Yeah, good for you. Well, George, I'm excited to officially be your brother-in-law. I never had a brother.
Yeah, me either.
No, I never had a brother, so this is
we
just
can get shirts and hats made.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah.
That'll be exciting.
I'm with him.
Awesome. All right, well, George, thank you for being my first Grand Cayman guest. Hopefully we have maybe one more while I'm still here.
He's got a cool story, too.
Nick has a cool story. I don't know if he's going to commit to coming or not, but we're going to harass him at the wedding. But thank you for being here. I hope everybody got a little something out of this. If you have any questions, comments, whatever, we'd love to hear from you. Please post them in the comment deal below. And the same way that we end every show, remember, be authentic or get the fuck out.
Oh yeah, whoa, look, they can never keep me down, I'm going, and if I ever fail, just know I'll go again. I never quit, cause I know that every loss may lead to another win. I'm going up.